Thank you, Callie, for a very kind introduction, and thanks to all of you for hosting me in your most wonderful and fascinating country. So today I want to talk a little bit about the Facebook story, what happened on the Obama campaign, but try to situate all of that into a much larger understanding of what's happening online. In order to do that, it would definitely be helpful for me to know, since I'm speaking to a new audience, if I could get a raise of hands for those in the room who have Facebook accounts as of today. Okay, that's a good sign. Facebook has arrived in India, I guess. I was here last July, and even then I'm not sure it would have been quite so many. So this is very helpful because I think that once you have an account on a site like Facebook, or a site like LinkedIn or Twitter or any of the social networking sites that are currently available, you have a good sense of how they work. But what I want to do is try to think about that a little bit more in depth by starting with a pretty simple concept, but one that I think is incredibly important. Information. We have to go to the heart of what information is to truly understand the information revolution that is currently taking place in our world. At its most basic, I define information as the recorded form of communication. Anytime you have an idea, anytime you have an experience, anytime you have an emotion, as soon as any of these things are captured and recorded, that becomes a piece of information. I, like many others, believe that we're experiencing an information revolution currently, the kind that comes along every few years. If you go back a few hundred years, as people like to do, you have this with the printing press. The revolution there it was much easier to capture and create information, and of course that information was distributed much faster than it had previously been possible. From there, you go on to the 19th century, and you have other revolutions in communications technologies. You have the birth of radio, the telegraph, eventually television. Throughout all of history, all of these communication revolutions change the possibilities for how information is distributed. We're currently experiencing an information revolution, but of a unique historical type. We're entering a period where the networked screen has become increasingly important as a way of, yes, consuming information that has been distributed by a certain few, but more importantly, as a way that information is now created. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in your email account, whether it's even through SMS, now everyone who has any type of access to a communication technology has the ability to create information and distribute it widely at the same time that they have the capacity to consume that information. So the questions then become, do we need the support to get I have a whole presentation, so I can keep going while we get it wired up. So the questions then become, what does this revolution mean for our society? And perhaps even more importantly, how can people and organizations adapt to the new paradigm that we're in? These are the couple basic questions that I want to try to answer today, and then get a little bit more specific in our panel afterward. So, what better place to start than, let's see if this comes up, hopefully, a Facebook profile. It's okay. Since all of you guys are on Facebook, you know what it looks like. So Facebook, in particular, is really different from the other networks that exist on the web. It's a network that helps real people share and connect to the things they care about. I'm going to repeat that. It's a network that helps people share and connect to the things and people that they care about. It's different than a lot of the other sites on the web, which are places where you can come and sort of recreate your identity. You can be anybody that you want to be, and you can do that in a very public way. Facebook is not that. Facebook is a place where you come and you recreate your authentic identity. You use your real name. You connect to your real friends. And from there, because you're in a closed, trusted environment where you have total control not only over what information you're sharing, but exactly who sees it, your experience on Facebook becomes a direct expression of who you are as a person. I think we're moving forward through the presentation now. I'm going to pause.
Yeah.
It's not advancing now. So, when it comes to Facebook, to emphasize the point, your experience on Facebook is closed, it's personal, and it's exactly what you make of it. Here we go. Now we got it. We'll catch up. So one of the most often asked questions from myself was, what were you guys thinking? Where did this concept come from? So this is us back in 2004. If you thought I looked young today, you didn't see me when I was actually 19. So I'm in the center. Mark Zuckerberg, who's the CEO of Facebook, is on the right, and Dustin Moskovitz, who was our other co-founder, is there on the left. But Facebook came from a pretty basic generative environment, which was the American University. We were all roommates in college, all studying different things. I was not technical, but Mark was studying computer science, and Dustin was studying economics and computer science as well. When we started Facebook, though, this basic idea was still present, just as it is today. You make it possible for people to talk about who they are, connect to their friends, and do it in a trusted environment, and people will want to share. These three principles were at the core of what we started in 2004 and are at the core of Facebook today. Trust and privacy, making sure the network is actually useful, and acknowledging that Facebook as a company can only do so much. Over the past 6 years, Facebook has grown to the point where it is today. We have 400 million users, and 70% of those are outside the United States. The fastest growing demographic, contrary to probably what a lot of people in this room expect, is not people my age or people even younger than me, but people who are a decade older than I am. In addition to that, 50% of the existing users come back to Facebook today, or will come back to Facebook today. 50% will come back tomorrow, and the day after that. This is a statistic that illustrates that Facebook is not really a place where people come to play. We think of it sometimes that way because we get to keep up with our friends and we get to know what's going on in our communities. But that's not play. That's who we are as people, as social individuals. And we need that. We thrive off of that. And as a result, we come to Facebook to know what our friends and family are doing. It's 130 friends, which illustrates this point where it's not about a popularity contest. For those people who thought it was, I hate to tell you, but game over. It's about connecting to just the people that you know. And finally, through mobile devices, 75 million people access Facebook actively. This number, I can promise you, is only going to increase in coming years. To be clear about exactly what's happening on Facebook, before I talk a little bit more about the possibilities that Facebook offers, every single time a person takes an action on the network, it becomes a piece of information. This gets back to my original point. Every single time a person says hi to a friend, talks about what they're doing, shares a photo, or engages with any type of piece of content, that becomes a piece of information. That's then distributed to a whole group of friends, a whole group of families, and in some cases coworkers who are likely to be interested in this information. This is a brand new filter for how we can understand the world. The old paradigm, I would argue, was relying on just a few editors at a newspaper to figure out what should be on the front page, and everybody had to read that. The new paradigm is relying on the people that you know the people that you already trust, to point you in the direction of the information that they're consuming and that they find useful in their own lives. This is the shift that we're currently undergoing. The possibilities that this opens for us as a society are enormous. I'll talk about a couple global ones before talking about a couple here in India, and then one that's close to my heart, which was the Obama campaign.